This week, could AI spot the next best sporting talent? When it sees it, that is. We find something fishy, and I get my hands and hips on some gadgets for fun in the sun. Hello and welcome to Click. This week we have a summer-themed special for you. Although the weather isn't great, I'm hoping the rain's going to hold off. But what a summer of sport it has been. England may not have been able to bring it back home this year, but this weekend is the start of the Premier League season and clubs are gearing up to welcome fans back to stadiums. But how these clubs discover talent could be about to change. Instead of sending scouts to identify young footballing stars and then, after a trial, picking the best ones, artificial intelligence is helping take on the job, as Omar Metab's been finding out.
Some of the world's biggest footballing talents are cherry-picked from a young age, as scouts scour the pitches to find the best of the best.
Whoa! Well, they missed me. I've been in love with the beautiful game all my life. Granted, I wasn't playing many Sunday league matches. However, in order to get spotted, what if you don't need to anymore?
There's a new app that's popped up. It's called AI Scout. And it's all in the name. Artificial intelligence is being used to identify and analyze videos sent in by whoever, wherever. It can be at your local five-a-side or even just in your back garden. And you don't have to be a pro.
The way it works is that you follow the instructions given on the app, using objects such as balls or cones as markers for the AI to pick up. Once you complete an exercise, you upload it to the app for processing.
So anything they're doing with the ball, anything they're doing with their body, all gets tracked. So all the movements are then goes into a system that's been built to identify what a good football movement looks like. And it's referenced back against from benchmark data, so like academy data from clubs around the world. For players to be able to generate the same data without having to be on the right team or go to the right school or be in the right country, we can actually generate that data and get enough of an indication that someone can play football and they're worth a further look at. We don't replace the scouts, but we just really revolutionise their workflow.
So I also did their trial through the app, and it went...
All the way down, get your nose on the ground.
Shut up! Ah. Ah.
And soon after, the AI was done processing my data. So how did I do?
Some good, some bad. This is you. This is
Okay.
AI Scout's data of Omar.
NRS, what's NRS then?
NRS is the national rating score, so that is all the combined physical trials that you did. Top you can get is 2.
2, okay.
So the players that have generally been found by Burnley are around a 1.7, so they're pretty high.
So how do I actually compare to other people that have taken the trial?
Should we take a look? You can see the graph there at the bottom. There's a little bit of a difference.
Okay, I wasn't the best, which is to be expected, but even still, the app's trials seem quite simplistic for Premier League club standards, so what's an actual club's trial like? And so, I went to Burnley to find out. This is something. A boyhood dream being lived. Doing a trial for a big club. And, oh man, I wasn't ready.
Feed a ball into you, okay, and all I'd like you to do is run across the first defender, finish first time if you can.
Oh, it's a lot different to the trials on the app. I'm doing the things I would normally do, but it's knowing I'm being watched by people who have been doing this for absolutely years.
Good, I'm going to give you a shooting one now.
So it includes running?
Yeah, it's just going to extend you a little bit, Omar.
Oh, It's not even a man, it's a mannequin, and I overthought beating the mannequin. The mental strength they need to have to be able to go through this and show what they can do without overthinking it, without hesitating. Something I can't imagine. I can shoot better than that. I can shoot so much better than that.
Obviously a lot more difficult in person. I couldn't do it on a cold, wet Tuesday afternoon in Burnley.
You remember the numbers, can't you?
1, 2, 3, 4.
Are you sure?
No.
But then how confident are the club in actually identifying talent from the app?
There'll always be people who are sceptical of new methods, and you know we're trying to be ahead of the game. We understand the level. When we understand that we're not going to get everybody at academy standard football, but if we can get one through, that one might just be the next one. And so, as I said, you know, it's really important for us that we keep our options open as far as we can when we're looking at recruitment of players.
That's number 4. No, that's number 4.
In the end, the best 28 players are selected from AI Scout's trial run, and they play a game against each other with human scouts watching to see if there is someone worth signing.
There's some exceptional talent out here on display. Over there is Reef. He's been recently called up by Sri Lanka after finding him on the app, soon to get his first international cap. And over there is Bevan. He's been given a second trial by Burnley after being recommended by the AI.
I just went to my local park and they told me what to do with the video. And then I uploaded it, my dad filmed me, and then after about a couple hours it showed me my score. And because of the app, I'm now on my second trial at Burnley. I probably never would have had a trial with Burnley or anything to do with Burnley, so I'm just here because of that, basically.
The sports science team put through an information document on me to the Sri Lankan national team because I could play for them. I then went to the under-19 trial. The men's coach came up to me and said, "Can you come back next year and play for us?" So the opportunities that have been opened for minority groups that maybe wouldn't get the opportunity to play football or wouldn't want to play football has been ridiculous.
That was Omar. And staying on the theme of sport, if you've been missing the Olympic coverage, then you might like this. We've been given exclusive access to an art installation that's been inspired by this year's Olympic Games. Paul Carter's been finding out more.
Since 2002, Jason Bruges Studio has been pushing the boundaries of art installation by using a high-tech mixed media palette to create interactive spaces. And for this year's Olympics and Paralympics in Tokyo, the team has created an artwork inspired by traditional Japanese Zen gardens.
One of the great things about this artwork is that it's designed to be experienced in person and in the round. But it's not until you get this up close and personal that you really get a sense of the scale.
The project, called Constant Gardeners, is a result of an open competition with the Arts Council Tokyo and the Tokyo Metropolitan Government. Their idea was selected out of 2,400 other entrants, and it's paying homage to the athletes by representing their performances.
So we're looking at footage from different sports, subtracting and extracting movement out of it frame by frame. We're then doing pose estimation, which essentially draws out different elements of that movement, and then applying that to an algorithm that then drives our artistic representation of that in the robot's movements.
The art installation was shipped from the UK right into the heart of Wenno Park to create over 150 unique illustrations to run alongside the games until September.
We're working mainly from video clips, but we've also worked with some numerical data, results data, be that speeds or times or heights or distances.
I think there's no doubt that technology opens up lots of potential in the arts, but one of the big barriers really is who can access the technology in the first place, be that hardware or software. A lot of the stuff that's needed for that is actually being generated in the commercial sector, in film, in architecture, in the video game world. So there still remains some barriers around who can actually access the technology to make the work.
But if you can overcome the price point and get the necessary expertise, it's just another tool for artistic expression.
For me, it's the kind of story and the narrative is particularly important. It'd be like critiquing a new type of paint or a kind of new type of fabrication. All the robotics are helping us tell this story effectively. But at the same time, people are worried about their jobs, the future. And I think if you start applying and testing technology in places like the arts and culture, you can open up conversations about those being opportunities and positive.
Whether or not you're a fan of the arts or robotics, the Constant Gardeners have offered a different kind of celebration of the Tokyo Games. And as technology becomes increasingly important in our day-to-day lives, it will continue to rise in the creative realm too.
Hello and welcome to the Week in Tech. It was the week that Samsung unveiled their new foldable smartphones, Facebook took action to shut down an anti-vaccine influencer campaign, and a student proved that Twitter's algorithm is biased towards lighter, slimmer and younger faces. The company paid them a $3,500 reward as part of their algorithmic bug bounty. Also this week, we've seen one of the biggest crypto thefts in history. Cryptocurrency platform Poly Network lost over $600 million in one of the sector's biggest ever cyber heists. Apple faced criticism after introducing an update which scans iPhone pictures before they're uploaded to iCloud. It was introduced as a tool which could flag cases of child sexual abuse. But critics say it could be a privacy risk and a security backdoor. And finally, the search for life beyond Earth continues. NASA announced its goals and objectives for mission Dragonfly, which will send a robotic rotorcraft to Saturn's largest moon in 2027. It will be the first time a spacecraft explores the surface of Titan, which is the only moon in our solar system that could potentially harbor life. The truth is out there.
As the United Arab Emirates goes from the UK's red to amber list this week, sun-seeking Brits can holiday abroad there without having to quarantine upon their return. Attractions like the Lost Chambers Aquarium at Dubai's Atlantis the Palm is set to welcome tourists with a smart new feature.
That's a lot of fish.
The Sea Life Centre has designed a web app to help guests identify species within its 65,000 strong marine life population.
So the way the app works is you pull it up on your web browser and you press scan fish. Oh, big stingery. Takes a snap and then it pulls up information about that fish.
To help distinguish dolphins from dogfish, the artificially intelligent app uses image recognition technology, which should get smarter with time.
The hard work is mapping those species. So that's the process we're going through now, and then testing to make sure that when you focus on that particular species, that fish, it's the right information.
The Ocean Tales platform then tells you things like where the animal can be found in the wild, its endangered status, and about different conservation projects in the works. But do we all want to be glued to our phones whilst at a real-life aquarium?
This app really is about educating our guests on the welfare of our species or mammals.
Atlantis aims to incorporate this new tech into its existing main app for resort goers, which provides targeted services and crucially encourages them to open their wallets. Backed by the tanks, I've decided to go alone and rely on my own as opposed to artificial intelligence. Ah, the majestic sea lion.
After the year we've had, I think it's time for a bit of fun in the sun. Okay, the weather may be a little bit changeable, but you get the idea. So I've got my hands on a whole heap of gadgets that I'm hoping are going to make me a little bit cooler. First up, this. The Motus Orbit Plus. And yes, it's like a smart hula hoop. The great thing about this is it doesn't drop like a regular hula hoop. You take out the pieces to make it the right size to fit you, and then it'll only land on your hips. And you can just keep going and going. Ah.
You really do need to stop to see how many times it's gone round though, which does feel counterproductive. But the weighted hula hoop concept itself was better than I expected, although I'm sure the novelty would wear off after not long.
Ow, surely that's enough. It does feel like cardio after a while, but in the house I was quite nervous of this hitting anything around me or a small child. But out here, with the space, it certainly feels like exercise. Oh, a bit hot after that. But luckily, at the moment, there's a trend for neck fans. This is the Yosh fan, and it's got a couple of different settings. You can choose how high you want the fan to go, or there are temperature sensors embedded in it, so it can decide how much fanning you're likely to need. I thought it was going to get really caught up in my hair, actually, but amazingly, it doesn't seem to. Although, if I move my hair out the way, obviously, I can feel it blowing a bit more. Would I really wear this? Well, maybe if I was in a hot country, it might feel quite nice. And I suppose it does just look like a pair of headphones around your neck.
But still, the concept itself does feel a bit over the top to me, although maybe I just wasn't born to be this cool.
And rather conveniently, the sun has just come out for my next item. I've shown you before on the programme audio sunglasses, where you can listen to music or talk on the phone via the glasses. This pair has a bit of a difference though.
This prototype is called Dusk, and it's a pair of smart transition lens glasses, so you can change the colour of the lenses according to what you're up to.
Maybe you're reading, maybe you're driving, and maybe the sunlight around you is changing. At the moment, you can do it by a button on the side, but eventually they're going to connect to an app, and you'll be able to do it on there. They just won't stay in the right position, but I guess they are just a prototype. If you wondered what this is my cooler box. And as you can see, it's got speakers, so I can connect that to my phone to play a little bit of music, or maybe an old episode of Click. Rights issues. You need to open this to turn it on, which is a bit difficult. Excuse me. There we go. Easy. Turn it on. I can now connect it to my phone's Bluetooth, and it's connected. Recognise that? Lovely summer music.
The Sunny Life Cooler Box charges via USB and can also play radio, or can connect to your devices via a lead or Bluetooth to provide sound.
Omar's calling!
There is no microphone though.
Can you hear me?
I can't hear you, Lara.
Oh, he can't hear me. Oh, there's Omar in a cooler box.
I'm talking to a fridge.
Well, what can I say? It's always lovely to hear from Omar. And finally, if you want to catch all of that summer fun on camera, then here I have the latest take on the Polaroid. I remember how much my dad loved his Polaroid camera when I was a little girl. Now, it's much, much smaller, it's rechargeable, and of course, it's got a selfie mode.
The brand's latest release is the Polaroid Go.
I can't do the pouting thing, let's go for a smile.
It can also do double exposure shots and has a timer.
Now I just have to leave that there for a few minutes, upside down. How did it go? Well, it looks like a Polaroid. Oh, the nostalgia. But the thing is, we're so used to doing pictures on our phones now that if you've got your eyes shut, it's a bad picture, you just take more. And each one of these you print is pretty expensive. So you sort of want to get every picture right.
Yep, over £1 a photo.
OK, let's go for it with a selfie.
So maybe you want to capture as much as you can each and every time, whatever you're getting up to this summer.
Oh dear. And there you have it, your summer gadgets are sorted. But maybe on a rainy day, you'd like to be taking a trip to the cinema. Well, a new movie that focuses on characters from gaming, obviously you can't actually play them because they're characters in a movie, is hoping to be a box office success. And Mark Chislak has been talking to the film's star and producer, Ryan Reynolds.
My name is Guy.
Sunday should be warm and sunny, just a scattering of drive-bys.
And I live in paradise.
Ryan Reynolds breaks free of his programming as a video game non-player character in new action comedy movie Free Guy.
And I work at the bank.
Reynolds' perpetually cheery NPC bank teller realises his day-to-day routine, which includes countless random acts of violence perpetuated by weirdly dressed total strangers and regular hold-ups at work, is in fact part of a massively multiplayer game called Free City after donning a pair of sunglasses from one of the game's real-world players.
What are these, trick glasses or something?
The game in the movie is fictional, but real-world inspirations are there for all to see. A non-copyright infringing coincidence, I'm sure. It's a fictional game, Free City, but what elements from video games will people recognise?
I think people will recognize elements of Grand Theft Auto and Fortnite, and a lot of games that use formats not too dissimilar to this.
Lots of actors prepare before doing a role. Did you prepare by enmeshing yourself in video games culture?
No, yes and no. I mean, I became as familiar as I possibly could with the subject matter. I mean, in addition to Matt Lieberman and Zach Penn, I did a draft of the script as well as Sean Levy. So for the writing part, for sure, you just had to be literate in the gaming world. But I would do it enough just to get to know it, but I also recognize the kind of slippery slope because it's so much fun that you can really just, I could easily see myself blowing off walking the kids to school and jumping into some Fortnite instead. So I had to sort of walk that fine line between, research and, parent and husband.
Reynolds' in-game Guy joins forces with Jodie Comer's levelled-up real-world player.
I don't suppose this thing can fly.
No.
Jump.
Both take on the movie's big bad, Taika Waititi, a designer hoodie-clad tech bro who heads up a massive games company with some very dubious business practices, which of course could never ever happen in the real world.
I'm a rule breaker. I'm a rattle snaker.
The movie's director, Sean Levy, is best known for the Night at the Museum films as well as Netflix's Stranger Things. But he's no stranger to games, having worked on and ultimately exited a movie adaptation of blockbuster PlayStation franchise Uncharted. Now, there have been lots of adaptations of video games into movies with varying degrees of success. Does creating a fictional game world, which draws on gaming culture really heavily, help you avoid some of the pitfalls that those kind of movies have made?
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. I spent a year working on Uncharted, and so I speak firsthand when I say it's possible to be very creative when you're doing a video game adaptation, but you're never completely unshackled. You are always beholden to the lore and expectations of the game. So with Free Guy, I got to create an original film and I got to create the rules of the game within the film. So that gave me maximum freedom, which I have to say was liberating and something I wouldn't have had if I were making a more literal adaptation of a video game.
Audiences will be able to determine for themselves if Free Guy takes movie and video games mashups to the next level when the film hits cinemas.
I can't die!
Great stuff. And that's all we've got time for. As ever, you can keep up with the team on social media. Find us on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook and Twitter at BBC Click. But we may be a little bit quiet on there because we are planning on taking a couple of weeks off for the summer. We're going to leave you with some repeats, but in September, normal service will be resumed. Enjoy your summer and we'll be back then. Bye-bye.